and welcome. I'm Guhl, and this is Can You Be Ender Lilies Umbral Night Only. For a while now, I've been interested in changing up the kind of content I make, and doing some challenge runs of the games I enjoy sounded like a good idea. While I would like to try some games that require a little bit more effort in the future, I thought it'd be nice to start simple and with something that wasn't overly complicated or awfully difficult. Throughout the video, you may notice there are strange cuts here and there, or certain cutscenes are left out, but just know this is either to save time or just me doing a weird cut. And do also keep in mind that this is my first time doing a video of this format. If you're unsure on what Ender Lilies is, then here's a brief description. Ender Lilies follows Lily, the last surviving priestess in a land devastated by an endless and oppressive rain that drives living things demented and transforms them into undead while granting immortality. Along the way, Lily can summon the spirits of purified undead to protect her, and the Umbral Knight is one such example of those summons, and is granted to us at the very beginning of the game as the tutorial spirit essentially, thus providing us with this awesome challenge run. With that out of the way, let's talk about the rules of the run. I can only use the Umbral Knight summon, and actions are allowed, but I can't deal damage with them. And that's all for the rules. I know, not a lot to abide by, but I don't wish to make things too difficult. After all, I've only beaten this game once. Once through the tutorial, you'll encounter Guardian Sigrid, the first main boss. In her first phase, she only has 3-ish attacks. They're all pretty simple to avoid, and as such, you shouldn't feel the need to turn this into a damage race. It doesn't really matter where you're placing yourself, as her attacks reach both in front and behind her. On her jump attack, either move under her or move farther away. The attack's location is determined on where you were during the wind-up, so any bit of movement should put you out of range of the attack. For the spin moves, just stay just out of range and then move in once she's done. Her second phase may seem a little bit intimidating, but every single attack she does can be dodged through. Just make sure you're facing her, and when she winds up the attack, dodge past her, then punish. Damage output you should be doing here should be plenty in order to beat her. My own gameplay here does not demonstrate what I'm trying to convey, but just know she is quite easy, and that's all you have to do in order to really succeed. Keep going, skeleton. Defeating her grants us the Guardian's Leap action that allows us to double jump. Moving on. There aren't really any items of interest except an amulet fragment and a chain of sorcery between you and our next boss, so just travel to the right while taking your time to look around and you'll ultimately be all set. I do take the time to kill the enemies I encounter along the way, as damage directly scales with level, and it isn't within my best interest to be underleveled whilst I'm already impeding myself. Charade is probably one of the first challenges of the run if you're still getting used to the controls and feel of the game. If not, it really shouldn't be too bad, as I only died twice with an unfortunately close attempt on my second go around. On to the fight. In his first phase, he only has 2 attacks. He has a jump attack where all you have to really do is dodge out of the way. Doesn't matter which way. The other attack is an overhead hit. Space it or dodge through and then punish. The second phase adds a ground smash that will send a shockwave across the arena. When you see him winding it up, step back and then either jump over it or dodge through it. His regular hit will also extend to behind him now. In his final phase, his jump attack now has a chain of 3 as well. Not much to say about it other than dodge through each landing and then punish. He also has a dash attack that he only really uses when he's far away. See the wind up, step back, and that should be enough to avoid the attack. With that super unfortunate attempt with literally 1 hit left, he goes down in just 2 tries. Beating him will grant you the Gerard Smash action, which allows you to smash through certain platforms. The action will be important for later, but for now, we'll backtrack and head to Witch's Thicket. I don't have much to say about the thicket, other than just make your way through and you'll end up at Dark Witcher Lane. In a sense, she's very similar to the Witch of the Lake in Sullen Sanctuary, just minus all the awfulness. Inspiration done right apparently. Although she's not nearly as bad a boss as her Sullen Sanctuary counterpart, that doesn't stop me from dying a somewhat significant amount of times. It would seem that this fight followed a bit of similar fate to Gerard, as despite my deaths, I almost beat her a multitude of times. Keeping it simple in the first phase, she only has 2 attacks. One where she shoots a beam of projectiles from one side of the arena to the other attack is a single projectile shot that somewhat homes in on you. Both of these attacks can be easily dodged by staying below her or dodging under her. In her second phase, she has an attack where she'll stand still and create a tornado pillar on her current position, and she adds another projectile to her single shot attack as well. All attacks can be dodged through, and when you see her charging up the pillar, just move to the left or right. Try to stay on the ground and navigate through the projectiles, dodge through them when you need to, and when her follow-up attack triggers after each regular attack she does, just dodge through it the moment she teleports. Keeping that in mind, this fight shouldn't be too bad. Purify her and gain the Witch's Bubble action, which allows you to now swim below water. By the way, if you have any suggestions on what I could possibly be doing differently in my video creation process, do please let me know. Moving on our way to the catacombs. Let me just say, this area is rough without any ranged spirits, and it doesn't really get better from here on. Constant little gimmick areas and not enough damage output really make this an uncomfortable experience. Nonetheless, make your way to the bottom of the catacombs. Using your ear Gerard smash, crush the secret flooring and pick up the 2 ancient souls. This massively increases the Umbral Knight's damage and adds a new combo. Upgrade your spirit and prepare yourself for the next boss. My inexperience really gets to be displayed here. Finish your circle around the catacombs and you'll reach the next boss, Guardian Silva. So here's where I lost a lot of motivation. The boss on our own isn't too difficult, but I really just wasn't feeling it at this point. I powered through though. So here's how the rest of the run went. I beat her on my 4th try and then proceeded to close out the game just a little bit early, and apparently it didn't register the boss kill. But I guess that gave me a chance to get good. Unfortunately, along with that my spirit got de-leveled, which was odd, but of course I didn't figure that out for a while. Relish in my horror as I figure out the boss is still alive. And then I died 12 more times. Guardian Silva is quite similar to Sigurd in the way that they both have very similar second phases and attacks, so you'll find yourself at least mildly familiar. I'm not sure why I struggled so much, but here's the boss breakdown. In her first phase, she starts pretty simple by jumping back and shooting a ray of projectiles at you, which I chose to just dodge through. She will also sometimes do an overhead swing, which is sometimes followed by an underhand. Both of these can be spaced pretty easily. At about half health, she has a phase transition where she'll become much more active with her movements, but nothing really new. Diminish her first health bar and you'll be met with her third phase where she completely transforms like Guardian Siegfried. She will typically start with a dash attack where she'll swipe at you, and once again just dodge through it. Once you notice her charging up to rise in the air, back off a reasonable amount and let the lasers surge. Watch out on re-engaging too early though, as even after they appear they have lingering hitboxes. When you're too close to her, she'll often use a swipe attack, which is often then followed by a ground pound. Just dodge through her and back the other way. Her last attack, I believe, is one where she charges a ball of energy and shoots a large projectile. Dodge this as well. Very complicated, I know. She also retains her multi-projectile attack from previous phases, just this time with an extra couple or so. Perform better than me and you've won the fight. Ending her grants us with 2 new abilities, one of which is a much better dodge called Guardian's Wings, whilst the other is the ability to use special attacks called Last Rites, which is essentially just another damage output for us. Hooray. All jokes aside, these are very helpful. Ultimately unfortunate, but thankfully over and done with. Now, for tragedy to strike yet again. Just this time, my fault and much more time consuming. Apparently, I did not need to be here. At all. I spent an hour and countless deaths attempting to get to a boss that is technically optional when going for ending A. It's okay though, I prevailed, just ultimately a little bit less sane by the end. As you can probably tell by now, bosses give you abilities that are needed to progress to the next area, and I was under the impression that I had to kill Ulf to get his ability, though in reality, with some difficult parkour, I could get past the area I thought I needed the ability for. I will say though, that Ulf is a quite difficult fight, so I think even if I had known this information prior, I'm still glad I realized it before smashing my head against the wall that is Ulf for an hour. Moving on. Honir. Honir is the next and final boss of the challenge run, fortunately. Get through a bit of initial parkour in the Witch's Thicket, and navigate through the bomb-ridden water section to get to the stockade. Collect our final level up piece we can acquire when going for this ending and challenge Honir. There isn't much to say about Honir as he ultimately only has a couple of attacks and is essentially just a bit gimmicky. So here's the strategy. Just focus on him as hard as you can, only taking time to kill the side enemies when they really become a nuisance. He only has a couple of attacks, which are quite easy to avoid. One is a dagger throw, which can just be dodged through, and the other is an overhead dagger throw that he does from above you. When you see him jumping up, dodge to the side and they'll miss. That's all for phases 1 and 2. In his third and final phase, he'll jump up and spin a bunch, but typically it isn't all that accurate, so there's nothing really to worry about. And there you are. Ending him grants us the Executioner's Hook action, which allows us to grapple to these lanterns. Ultimately, he's not too challenging. Going into the fight, I thought it'd be difficult, but with some close attempts, we got him with ease. Continue to the right and climb the walls to get to ending A. That was a lot and a bit all over the place. Thanks for sticking through that with me. This was a bit of a disaster project that I was surprised to ever complete, as it was so far out of the range of what I had experienced in editing or otherwise. But ultimately, that might be a good thing. It's a good stepping stone for me to work on future projects. Feedback would be greatly appreciated, as this is my first long-form voiceover, guide, and so much more video. Other than that, I'd also like to say that this is also a completionist cat done, as I 100%ed the game during the course of making this video, just on a separate playthrough. Completionist cats is a kind of just my thought process for other videos I can make that would entail fully completing games on my backlog. If you notice that my voice changes a lot over the course of the video, there's a couple reasons for that. I had braces for a little while and I just generally don't know how my microphone works. This was also my second playthrough of Lilies, but I still had a lot of fun with it. There's a lot to take away from this, whether it be planning or editing. I'm just glad it's over. Nonetheless, feedback is really important, so if you have any, I would love to hear it. Subscribing and all of that is also really nice, so if you'd like the content and want to see more of it, then that's another way of telling me. Other than that, I'm Guhl, and have a good one.